Introduce Shannon. Shannon is our speaker here today. And Shannon, I am so excited to hear from you. I know we have been following you for a while on social and kind of stalking all the things that you do and your tips and tricks and how you make a cup of coffee with oat milk exciting and entertaining and get thousands of views on it is just an amazing job. So thank you for being here with us today. Shannon's going to take over the presentation. If you have any questions in between, feel free to put it in the chat and we can kind of help her with that. So then that way we can kind of help you along the way as we go. And if you think of questions at the end, we'll also have an opportunity for questions and we will make sure to share all of her information with you. Shannon, feel free at any time to also drop it in the chat if you want to at the end or in the beginning and people can kind of connect with you. We encourage you to follow her on Instagram if you're not already. She is a wealth of knowledge and we're very, very blessed to have her here today. So we will give it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. So kind. I'm so excited. I could talk this stuff all day. So I'm going to, if depending on where you are with your Instagram comfort level, this might be a little advanced. It might be exactly what you need to hear. It might just be a nice refresher. So definitely use the chat to ask questions. I'm here to help. My biggest goal for you, if you take anything away from this today, is to know that Reels do not have to be complicated. You do not have to post them every day. I don't use any apps other than Instagram to create my Reels. I'm very team simplify, 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 because I've built my business by just posting 3 to 4 times a week. And Reels have really helped me grow. So I'll teach you how today. I work with all sorts of industries. So I see there's people in the auto world, restaurants, clothing. I've worked with all of them. So just definitely lean on me today because I don't want this to be complicated. I want this to actually be a lot of fun. So I'm going to share my screen and share a little presentation with you all today. So I have many versions of this one. So let me go to the front. Oops, the bonus tips. No. All right, here we go. Let me share. And let me know if you can see. Oops. Where's it? Present. All right. All right. You guys can see that all right? All right, so today's presentation is Unleash the Power of Instagram Reels for Your Small Biz. Now, I've been around on Instagram long before Reels. I was even using Instagram to help my clients before stories were even around. So it's been I've seen Instagram progress into what it is today, and it's pretty amazing what it has become. But, I also want to remind you, if you do see this and you're like, oh my gosh, Reels are just not my thing, you can absolutely still grow without Reels, like 1000%. Most of the people that we manage, because I manage it on top of coaching, 90% of them don't even do Reels at all. They still see amazing growth, leads, et cetera. I have people in home construction, real estate, brewery, and when we do a Reel, we can. Some of them don't even do them at all, and they still see growth. So hopefully, if you haven't done Reels before, hopefully this will make you encourage you to do them. If you get to the end of this and you're like, I'm just going to stick with what I'm doing, that works too. There's no one way to grow. So, but real quick, I want to dive into just the power of Instagram. And I want to start here because if you take away anything, or if you have to hop off and watch this later, this is the most important thing to know, because again, I know Instagram is a lot lately and there's a lot of people not even liking it right now. There's a lot of changes. It's going through this identity crisis, what have you. It's a business. It's a free app. We have to remember that. It's a free thing that we can get on. We don't have to stand on the corner. We don't have to door knock. We don't have to take out expensive ads all the time. This is a free app. So when you get frustrated, I want you to remember this and take a picture of this, write it down. It is a storytelling app, okay? It is still the same app that we used in 2014, 2015 to show a picture of our dog, to show our oat milk latte. Well, long before oat milk wasn't really around, or at least I didn't know about it then, but we showed our lattes, right? We showed our kids, we showed our pretty travel adventures. It's still that app. It's telling the stories of our lives, right? And as business owners, it's doing the same thing. It's telling the story of your business, what your core values are, where you're located, who you serve, how you help, what your story is, why you started it. It's revolutionizing that customer client experience. And as you probably know, as business owners, if you've studied marketing at all, you know that people want to buy from people, and we buy from people we trust. We walk into a coffee shop because a friend told us about it. We hire a realtor because our friend said they were great. We buy someone's tires because our neighbor got a great deal on the same tires, right? Word of mouth is still huge, and Instagram is a great place to get that word of mouth going. So what Instagram does is just whenever you get overwhelmed, what is a story I can tell today of a client, of myself, right? It's a storytelling app. TikTok is more the entertaining app, right? Instagram, the core, the essence of it is still the same, even with all the changes. And what Instagram is so good at is it speeds up that know, like, trust factor. And we know when someone trusts us, we got it, right? They're going to come back. They're going to tell people. If someone asks on Facebook, hey, does anyone know where to go buy X? We're going to say this person because they're top of mind because we just saw their Instagram story or reel or post. Instagram is extremely powerful, and it is still, in my opinion, the number one place to make money and generate leads. I know there's a lot of talk of TikTok. I just started my little TikTok journey recently. I'm trying to get in over there. But even the more I study TikTok and learn it for my clients, there's people on TikTok, and I said this on Instagram the other day, with huge followings. I'm talking hundreds of thousands. And maybe their Instagram follower count is in the thousands. They still say they convert more on Instagram. And that I know is because of trust. Instagram's been around longer. We've been following brands on Instagram longer. We trust them a little more. So please know that this is still a great place to be. Even though maybe engagement's down, maybe reach is down. If you're still reaching 10 people, that's still a good hand of people, okay? Instagram allows you to create an experience. So I think there's some clothing shops in here. Before I even go into your shop, I should be able to look at your Instagram and know what it looks like inside, what's going to feel like. Is there a place for my kid to play in the corner? What's this feeling? What is the vibe I'm going to get? And that's what Instagram does, especially with reels now. Okay. They get to feel what it's like to buy with you, work with you, or buy from you, work with you. I get this all the time when I'm on a call. They're like, oh my gosh, you're just like your reels, your stories. I'm like, well, I hope so. We get to feel each other's energy even on Instagram. And I know I work with people that aren't just a one person face, a personal brand. Then if that's the case that you are in and you're a team, a corporation, they get the feeling of the culture. They get the feeling of, who are the founders, who are the people behind the scenes. It really creates that entire experience for someone so that know, like, trust just goes through the roof. And again, you stay top of mind. Third, Instagram helps you create an engaged community. And this is my favorite thing about it is I've worked with people that, like, their whole goal is to get 1 million followers. I'm like, look, focus on an engaged community. They become your megaphones and you'll get there. But even if you just have 90 followers right now, that's 90 people following you, looking to you. They're going to spread the word about you, right? It's that same word of mouth. I get it all the time. Someone says, hey, my friend so-and-so said for me to follow you. I found you through so-and-so. That's how Instagram works. It's like a little neighborhood. So think of Apex, think of like a little neighborhood, and you're building this little community who comes in and trusts you to get their morning coffee, who comes in and knows that they can find the perfect housewarming gift at your store because they heard from Sally down the street. That is the power of Instagram. I always like to tell people, like, pretend it's not even an app. If you were sitting with a customer right now, what would you tell them? What story would you tell them? If you're walking down the street and, someone can see through your window, what would they see? What would they experience? That's what you share on Instagram. And then just introduce myself to know that I know, that you can trust me, that I know a little bit about this stuff. My name is Shannon McKinstrie. I am from Arlington, Virginia. I was born in Georgia, raised in Arlington, Virginia, and my husband and I and our daughters, we moved here to Cary in late 2020. And then I had my daughter actually a month later. So we are new to the area. We love it. We have not looked back. We, of course, love our family and friends back home in DC, but there's just something about this place that sucked us in, and we're probably never leaving. So immediately once I moved here, I really wanted to get into helping my fellow Raleigh people. So I'm so glad you guys are here today. I've been managing social media since 2013. I worked at CNN, then I worked in marketing, and then social media started going from kind of fun to business. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Had my daughter and was like, I'm starting my own agency, and it's been an amazing journey. And I have a social media agency, 17 years in marketing. I've had many reels go viral between myself and my clients. So I'm so excited to share with you today how to create reels for yourself that actually perform. Okay. But before we get there, we got to talk about the algorithm for a second. And hopefully this is just a refresher. But if you even just spend a few minutes on Instagram, you'll kind of understand how the algorithm works. And if you have your phone in your hand, just go to Instagram and tap the little search bar and look at the explore page. That's the category Instagram has put you in. Okay. So when I look at mine, it's a lot of funny memes, right? It's a lot of mom memes. It's a lot of Instagram tips, like marketing stuff. And then it's also inspirational quotes. Like Instagram knows exactly what I want to see, because every time I'm liking and commenting on something, Instagram's like, aha, that's what keeps Shannon here on Instagram. So always remember, Instagram is a business. The longer you stay on Instagram, the more money they make. So their goal, as twisted as it is to keep us on the app, right? That's why they're trying to compete with TikTok, because people cannot put TikTok down. So that's all that. That's for another training. But the algorithm is really trying to be on your side. It's trying to show you what you want to see, because they don't want you to leave. So if they keep showing you content that you're going to binge and watch again and again, that's their job. So every time you're liking something, so let's say shop local Raleigh, I just liked something, commented, wrote a DM. The next time I log into Instagram, you'll notice that's the first piece of content you'll see, or they'll be at the top. They'll be at the front of my storyline. They'll be at the top of my feed. So I always joke, like, I'll have a friend be like, Shannon, my sister-in-law never writes on my stuff. They never look at my stories. They're like, I think they've muted me. I'm like, do you ever engage with their stuff? If you don't, they're not going to see your stuff. Instagram, again, wants to show you things and keep you up to date with people that you have sent a signal to Instagram saying, I want to keep up with this person. So you can train the algorithm. That's again for another training. But today, what we're trying to do is make sure that your reels are being sent to people that want to see your content. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. Again, Instagram just wants to keep people on the app. So the more that let's say your reel starts gaining traction, it's getting a lot of likes, it's getting a ton of comments, it's getting saves, it's getting shares. Instagram then throws that bad boy into more people's feeds. It's like, well, if Sarah and Ronnie and all these people liked it, then this subset of people are going to like it too. So when you're creating content that keeps people on the app, and I'm going to show you how to do that, they're going to do you a lot of favors, and they're going to show it to more people. So again, when you create content people engage with, algorithms shows it to more people. So we got to get people engaging with your reels. We got to get them to watch your reel, and we got to convince Instagram that your reel is amazing. And we all know it is. So again, this is why reels right now are the number one way to grow on Instagram right now, because they're showing reels to people that aren't following you yet. Right? Most of our feed, I mean, we still see some suggested posts, we see ads, but most of what we're seeing are people we've already decided to follow. Reels are being shown to people that don't even know you yet. So how cool is that, right? It's like someone driving down downtown Cary that's never been there. They're going to see your storefront and go, ooh, that looks like a good wine store. That looks like a good place to shop for shoes. They would have never found you if they hadn't driven down that street. Same thing here. Okay. All right. So a few benefits before we jump into the 5 tips I have for you to create really awesome reels. Big benefit is that they, like I just said, are a great way to get in front of new people. So hopefully that helps you understand that. There's an entire feed dedicated to reels. And this is how we knew Instagram was going all in on reels. Photos still work, don't get me wrong, but reels are prioritized 1,000%. In the middle, when you log into Instagram, that middle button at the bottom is reels. You can tap it, and it's typically people you're not following. You'll see some familiar faces, but it's typically people that Instagram has decided, oh, well, they really like dogs, so we're going to show them more dogs. And what's so cool, guys, is please know this. This is why you guys are in such a great spot. So many people think global, and that's great. That's awesome. You can reach people all over, sure. But the reason I have, and I get it all the time lately in the DMs. Oh, hi, neighbor. I live in Holly Springs. Hey, I'm in Fuquay. I'm like, oh my gosh. Instagram is showing more and more local users your content because they know the power of that local connection point. And I've preached this since 2013 to really focus on building a hyper local following. And some people I work with are like, well, I can work with people in Australia and Canada. I'm like, okay, but when they see that you are located down the street from them, they're much more inclined to send you a DM, follow you, engage, right? It's an instant trust. We trust you. Because we've all got our walls up on social media, right? Because we've all had the sleazy sales and, been, weird bots and things like that. So the fact that the Reels tab is not only showing your reel to more people, but to people down the street from you, oh my gosh. And I'm sure you've seen it. I guarantee if you spend some time today going through that Reels tab on Instagram, you'll see like, hey, North Carolina residents, check out these 5 hikes. I'm like, it knows that this is going to keep me on the app because I can attach to that. If it shows me 5 hikes in Kansas, I'm like, bye, I don't care. So this is huge for you, huge for you. So that's a little bonus tip right there. Always make sure you've tagged your location in your reels, your posts, etc. Okay, another benefit that is a big one is that while Instagram stories, which I hope you're active on stories, if you do anything, stories, I'm a huge fan of stories. I tell everyone, I don't think I'd have a business without them, to be honest. Instagram stories, they disappear after 24 hours, right? Unless you put them in a highlight. But reels last weeks. I'm still getting engagement on a reel from 2 months ago, over 2 months ago. It is still circulating. It is still bringing in followers. It is still bringing in business and likes and comments. And it's funny because, there's all these people saying you have to post every day. You have to post every day. I'm like, if you want to post every day, by all means, go for it. I don't have the time. I got 2 kids at home. One is an 18-month-old. I do not have the time. And she's napping right now, which is why I'm able to be here, right? So if you don't have the time to post daily, let those reels that are killing it and going, let them do the work for you. You deserve it. You deserve to take a day off of social media or just to not even post. And that's why reels are so amazing because they last so long. So it's proof we do not have to post every day. Typically a static post means a photo. Think old Instagram, a photo, carousel posts some photos. They last about 2 to 3 days in the newsfeed, but again, reels last week. So that's another reason people love them so much. Okay, before we jump in, benefits of reels part 2, they skyrocket the know, like, trust factor, which I already mentioned earlier, that's the power of Instagram, right? So think stories, everything on a whole new level, because like I said, you're able to create that experience so that they fully feel what it's like to work with you, what the benefits are working with you, what you offer, where you are. It's an incredible way you get in front of the person and then they go binge watch all your reels and they're like, oh, right. So they're binge worthy. And I tell people all the time, I used to get, oh, I just found you through so-and-so. I just watched all your highlights. Now I just binged all your reels. So people go right to the reels tab because they want to get a feel for all of it, all the things, and see if they want to follow you or not. Because they are short form and bite size. And I need us all to think about where we are when we open Instagram. Typically we're in line at Target. Typically we're in the pickup line with our kids, or we're in line somewhere, or we're watching Jeopardy and we're just, mindlessly scrolling. We're busy. We're usually doing something. We're multitasking. So remember, if something's bite size and they watch something that they can quickly go, ooh, I need to go there, or ooh, I need to go buy that. That's what's going to get them. So they watch it because it's short, it's sweet, and they can watch it again. And that's where those views go crazy. So unlike, long caption that they got to sit there and read it and dissect it and grab the information they need, they can watch an 8-second reel and get all the information they need. And if it's a tip you're sharing, they can go execute it really fast. Or if it's a sale you're promoting, whatever it is, they get all the info so fast that they don't have to read this long sales page. They get it, they're done, and they're sold. Okay. Obviously all this takes nurturing, but again, these reels, the more you share, the more they get to know you, your brand, and they watch them over and over and over again. That, again, trust factor goes through the roof. All right. Now, the fun part. Ready? These are the 5 quick tips to help you create high performing reels for your business. Now, I do want to preface this by saying you guys could do none of these tips I'm about to share and your reel could go bananas. There are so many things that we all go, how did that go crazy, right? Some stuff is just good content. Create what feels good to you and that you want to share. I don't want you to overthink and be like, well, Shannon said to do this, Shannon said to do that. These are just tips that I do for pretty much every reel I share, and they do very well for me. They do very well for my clients. So hopefully these help you too, but by all means, do not think that this is like Bible, right? Everything's always changing. Everything is a test. Every account is different. I always want you to have fun. That's priority number 1. Okay. All right. But this is one of my biggest tips, and I'm sure you've seen it and you know this, but is to use trending audio. Now, there was a lot of talk that they are now promoting and pushing original audio, original content. And that's true, but trending audio still works really well because what is Instagram's job? It's to keep you on the app. So when a trend is taking off or an audio is taking off and a lot of people are using that audio to make a joke or to empathize with their audience, whatever it is, the more people start using it, the more Instagram pushes it out to people because they know that they'll do it too. And that keeps people on the app. I had a audio that I actually created recently. So if that's something you ever want to try, I've done it a few times and they've started trending, where I actually came up with the audio myself. Other people lip sync to it. And one is still going and going crazy. So that's something fun that you could always make your own trending audio. I always tell people, I'm like, you can't find an audio you want, create your own. It could be a song, it could be you talking. Have fun with it. But the easiest way to create a reel, in my opinion, is grab a trending audio, grab a video, put it over, put some words. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And I'll show you how to know when an audio is trending. Now, do I go to every trending audio? No. If I don't like it, I don't like when there's curse words in audios. That's not my brand. There's certain music that I probably wouldn't do because it doesn't align with me. So not just because an audio is trending doesn't mean you have to jump on it. Make sure you like it. It's exciting to you. But again, I also want to note the second bullet point. Let's say there's a funny audio and you're like, this would be a great way for me to showcase my product, or this would be a great way to showcase a tip. If it's no longer trending, do it anyway. Don't let it hold you back. Again, good content is good content. And let me show you what trending audio looks like as you're scrolling. And most people have this. If you don't have this, I'm so sorry. I don't know why Instagram does things it does, but as you're scrolling the reel tab, if you go through about 10 reels and you have not seen this arrow, it probably means you don't have it. But if an arrow is trending next to the song, the audio, this will be scrolling. And if it's trending, it will have an upward facing arrow. You then tap on that audio and you can see how many reels people have created. And my little bonus tip for you is when I click on this and it's at less than 1,000 reels, I jump on it. If I can conceptualize an idea that makes sense for my audience, because that means it hasn't quite taken off yet. I've done this several times and it's worked really, really well. But does that mean if there's a million videos that you shouldn't do it? No. If you want to create the piece of content, do it. But if you're like, I cannot get a reel off the ground, I cannot get more than 100 views, get ahead of a trend, put your own spin on it and have some fun. Again, this all takes creativity. This takes conceptualizing an idea. And one thing I really, really like to do, and this is a little bonus tip for all of you, before you even dive in and like, okay, after this, you're like, okay, I'm going to go scroll reels. I'm going to create a bunch of reels. Before you do that, I want you to brain dump a bunch of ideas. What I do with my clients is I have a Google sheet and, let's say, for instance, you're a clothing boutique. Okay, you're a clothing boutique for women primarily over 30. I'm saying this just because that's me, right? So I know what a reel I would like to see, right, is a reel showing me how to throw on an outfit when you've got 2 minutes, right? So our 3 favorite throw and go pieces. I'm going to watch that and you could put it to some fun trending music. And you could add some transitions if you want. You don't have to, but I'm going to watch that, right? So just think of a bunch of ideas, think of your target market and brain dump. So 3 quick throw and goes. 2 ways to accessorize an outfit favorite transition piece for fall. Brain dump all these ideas. So then when you are scrolling and you come across an audio, you're like, oh, let me go to my idea sheet, grab one. You're like, that's perfect with this audio. Maybe it's a funny lip sync one that you can use to say, that you can use to conceptualize an idea that will resonate with a woman in her 30s trying to get out the door with her kids, right? So get inside your target market's head, brain dump a bunch of ideas, look at content you've already created that's done well. Then the job's basically done. Then when you're scrolling the Reels tab looking for audios, you just kind of go, well, that will go perfect with that. And you're done in an instant. And I can definitely answer questions about that if there are some. Are there any chat? Sorry, let me look at the chat real quick. All right, cool. All right, number 2 is to keep them short and sweet. Now, it's very sad, but our attention spans are 8 seconds, okay? That's why I'm so glad you're still here with me. So you've got to keep that in mind. Now, I have done Reels that have been 60 seconds that have done very, very well, but that's because there's a bit beginning, middle, and end. So again, let's say you're the boutique that's putting together whatever, or you sell wine, whatever it is. You want to make sure that they watch until the end. So let's say, for instance, you're saying, here's our 5 wines for fall, 5 favorite wines for fall. Okay. That it needs to make sure to say the last one's our favorite, or they're going to dip out after 2. They're gonna be like, got one. That's all I needed. Bye. You want to keep them short and sweet, but you want to get them to watch until the end. So more on that in a second, but when you keep them short and sweet, the chances of them watching to the end is much higher. Okay. So again, they can be 90 seconds, but if you're going to do a 90-second reel, maybe it's a recipe, or maybe it's a yoga move, maybe you're a yoga instructor, you want to make sure they watch until the end. So make sure there is a beginning, middle, end, so they keep going. Okay. So if you're going to do long ones, go for it, but make sure there's something enticing at the end so they stick around. Finished product. Maybe you're staging a home, you're a home stager. They'll stick around for that. They'll stick around for the transformation. Does that make sense? No one wants to see you try on clothes for 90 seconds unless there's a huge, big thing at the end. Okay. So you just have to make sure to communicate that in your reel. So this is the big one right here to take away: watch time. All right. So this is actually one thing. If you take away anything from today, this is it. Again, the algorithm, they're watching every move. So if I land on your piece of content and the hook doesn't get me in, the picture doesn't get me in, and I scroll past it, Instagram saw that. They're like, people are scrolling past it. They're not spending time on it. That's considered watch time. If I'm on it, I'm scrolling through your, let's say you have a bunch of photos as a carousel post. The more I scroll through, they're like, ooh, look at that. People are spending time on it. Same with Reels. So same with YouTube videos, right? YouTube videos are ranked by how many people watch it till the end, how many people watch at least a minute through, things like that. Instagram's the same. It's all the same. So as you are creating your reel, make sure that you are, when you watch it, ask yourself, would I watch this all the way through? Would I watch this again a third time? Then sweet. Again, attention spans are 8 seconds. So most of my high performing reels that have gone bananas are in that like 5-second range. And it sounds crazy fast, and it's not, unfortunately. Just watch how you go on the app. You'll be like, oh yeah, I'm scrolling pretty fast. And this is why, friends, this is why I do so many lip sync audios, because they're typically around 4-5 seconds. You just mouth the words. You actually don't even have to mouth the words if you don't want to. You can kind of act it out and just be like, they're usually very short and they're humorous. They're funny. People stick around for them. So moral of this story, of this slide, is just keep your reel as short as you possibly can. The trim tool is your friend. I do a lot of talking to camera reels, and I just make sure if I'm pressing record and pausing, today I'm sharing blah, blah, blah. I make sure to trim that whole beginning out. The moment my mouth opens is when the reel starts. Again, this is all stuff that takes practice. So this is more for the people that are advanced and already creating reels. That's a big bonus tip for you. If you're brand new to them, don't worry. Again, it takes practice. Your first few reels are probably, you're going to learn a lot when you create them, but just remember, short and sweet, and trending audio if you can, and you're already doing well. So just to show you, this is an example of a lip sync audio in case you're kind of new to reels and not sure what that means. This is an example of what that means.
La, 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 la. Shh. Living my life.
So as you saw, that was about 3-4 seconds. And I mouthed the words and I conceptualized an idea. And again, this is what I do. I write down all the things that my text said me to the voice in my head, trying to make me feel guilty for not posting every day. My audience, I know they are stressed out. They are like, I am running a business. I have a family. I have a life. I have a dog. I don't have time to post every day. I know that about my people. And I know that they're hearing the opposite from other people who are trying to stress them out. So I have a whole list again of ideas. You don't have to post every day. Story tips, Instagram tips, right? So I have all these. So when an audio comes on and it's trending, and this one was trending and it did very, very well for me, I was like, ooh, what if I hear la 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 la, I'm living my life. Oh, perfect. I'll pretend I'm talking to my brain saying, don't tell me to post every day. So really it all comes down to thinking of these ideas. We all create differently, but that's one fun way to do it, so that again, you always have ideas ready to go, because this should be easy. That took 5 seconds to record, and I threw it up and bam, it did very, very well. Brought in a lot of followers too, because it attracted my ideal clients, right? All right, third tip to get your Reels views up is to hold their attention. And I just said that, right? So again, you want to get them to watch until the end. A great way to do this is simple storytelling. So if you don't want to lip sync, you don't want to do audio, you don't want to point to bubbles and all that stuff, simple telling a story, right? You could start with, again, you could do a tip, you could you could do something mundane, which I've done too. While I'm talking, I'll sometimes be pouring a cup of coffee. I'll be packing a bag as I'm talking, just to keep people watching. But again, when you tell a good story, you're sharing a really good tip, you're going to hold their attention. So don't overthink this too much. But when you're watching your reel, when you're done, be like, again, like I said earlier, would I watch until the end? What am I doing? So again, here, if you're doing an original audio and sharing a story to the camera, talk directly, but be excited, right? This again takes practice. I always pretend I'm talking to my best friend, but a simple story could go, she couldn't believe how quick okay, again, we'll go back to the clothing boutique because I've already mentioned that before. She couldn't believe how quick it was to get ready. When Allison walked in our store, she was desperate to find XYZ. We were able to help her with this, blah, blah, blah. That is a perfect way to hold their attention, because they're like, well, what happened? Tell me the story. So you can do it through simple storytelling. You can do it by sharing a tip. You can do it with transitions. There's so many tricks and ways to hold people's attention, but you want to get them to watch it over and over again too, right? So again, there's lots of little tactics, and this isn't a strategy. This is more tactics, right? A really good hook to bring the person in and they want to hear your story again. And then of course, transitions. Now, I don't want to stress transitions too much because they are tricky and they do take practice, but they're really, really fun. So especially if you do any sort of makeovers with, like, say you are a realtor and you're staging a home, or you have a boutique, or you detail cars, right? Transitions are great for that stuff. We love a before and after because it tells the story. So if you do that, just do the simple transition where you hold your hand over and take it away. There's tons of YouTube videos. I have YouTube videos that explain how to do them too. I don't want to go too far in that with this training again, because it can be a little overwhelming. But again, it all just comes down to holding their attention. And there's so many ways to do that. I have lots of reels explaining how to do that. There's so many tricks. But again, if you're like, this feels overwhelming, this is a lot, tell a good story. I promise they'll stick around because they want to know the end. If it's client stories, if it's your story of why you started, things like that. You just want to captivate your audience and bring them in. And definitely during the Q&A, we can talk about that. I can give you guys lots of ideas. But this is probably my favorite tip to share, and the most game-changing is to use 2 hooks. Now, even my daughter, who's in 3rd grade, talks about the power of hooks. She's learning it in school. And I think, again, I'm like, gosh, it just reminds me how much we overcomplicate Instagram. I'm like, we've actually learned all of this in essay writing, in book reports. Like, we've learned how to write back in the day. Do you have to be a really good writer to succeed on Instagram? No. Do you have to be a professional videographer? No. But if you can learn the basics of how to write a good hook, your caption will do so well for you. Okay. Now the hook, if you're not sure what that means, it's like the headline. I like to think of it like this. This is kind of a fun way to think of it. And just one way to like look for hooks out when you're out in the wild is when you're in the grocery store line. Let's say you are in makeup, hair, etc. Look at the cover of the magazines of whatever magazines kind of align with your industry. Go into the magazine aisle at the grocery store. Those usually on the front of the magazine, and think about it, they pay these people a lot of money to come up with these hooks. Those are hooks, right? 5 ways to cook a healthier dinner in 20 minutes flat, right? Like those are hooks, okay? Also think of hooks as subject lines on your emails. When you get all these emails from people you've subscribed to, look at those hooks because again, typically these companies are paying a lot of money to get someone to write a really good subject line so that you click on that email. So if you're really good at emails, you'll be killer at Instagram captions. It's the same thing essentially. The hook is the subject line of your email. Okay. Because when you're scrolling on Instagram, you only see those first, I believe it's 150 characters of a caption. So if that first thing is just this long drawn out sentence, happy Friday, friend, da, 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 they're like, whatever, bye. Next, we are like, what is this post about? Get to the point. And that's harsh, but it is the reality we're living in now. We used to be able to say happy Friday, have a good day, and get a bunch of likes and comments. If you're Kim Kardashian, that could still work for you, but we've got to bring our people in and make them care about what is below that line. So if you're scrolling Instagram, you'll see a little bit of the caption and then it's going to say more. And you want that hook. So when you're creating just a static post, let's say I'll go back to realtor. Let's pretend you're a realtor, right? It's a open house. Okay. You've got a bunch of photos. That hook, if it was a carousel post, we're not talking reels right now. We're talking photos. Okay. If it was a carousel post, I would say, don't miss the backyard. Unbelievable. So they swipe through to the end, right? That's a good example of a hook. If you are a wine store, guess what's back in stock? Well, they're gonna be like, what? Right. So you want to get them intrigued so they tap more to see more. Now, if it's a reel, you need 2 hooks. Okay. Everything I just said, take that with you. That's the caption. The second hook in a reel is going to actually be in your video. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay. And it's actually one of my top performing reels. And I know it's because of this. So you want to hook them in with the video. You want to hook them with the caption because guess what happens? When you tap the caption on a reel, as you're reading that reel, as you're reading the caption, that person's reel is playing and playing and playing and playing and playing. So let's say the wine store, right? It's like in the wine, they're watching the reel because they're like, watch until the end. And then the caption is like, here's the recipe, right? Maybe it's a Italian store, right? Maybe it's an Italian restaurant. The reel is them going from start to finish with the dish so that they, watch until the end to see the masterpiece. Hook in the caption though is here's the recipe, or here's how to, here's our favorite wine to go with it, right? So like you want to make sure they watch, read. Okay. So again, with all Instagram captions, you need a hook at the beginning, right? And I have a whole, and I can send this for you guys to have later if you want it. I have a Google Doc that has a bunch of hooks, some of my favorite hooks that you guys can use to steal. Things like, can you relate to this? Has this ever happened to you? I couldn't believe she said this when everything changed. Again, swipe is a great, if you're doing pictures, swipe to see the big reveal, 3 ways to simplify your summer wardrobe, things like that, right? Because so we know what we're getting, or it's a cliffhanger. So whenever you're doing a hook, remember how-tos are great. How to create a capsule wardrobe, right? Numbers are great. 3 ways to have a great day in Raleigh, right? Maybe your store, include your store at the end, right? It's like, go to Dorothea Dix Park, then swing by here, right? Things like that. 3 ways to enjoy Raleigh. So how-tos and numbers, great. So definitely remember that. How-tos, numbers, classic hooks, okay? And then the cliffhangers. I couldn't believe she said this. This was the moment everything changed. It's like that. So does that help? I saw something in the chat. Let me know if hooks make sense in general, and then I'll show you what it looks like to have two. Oh, perfect. Yes, I will put that in the, it's right in my bio on Instagram, but I'll put it in the chat at the end. For anyone watching later, it's if you go to my Instagram right there in my profile, it's little, and there's 50 content ideas in there too. There are lots of fun ones. So again, the first hook is the text of your video. So in the video, like pretend on the reel. It's my big face. And then after is the caption underneath me, hook there. This is what it looks like. All right, this is my video hook. My number one tip to get more reels views. So the next clip was use two hooks, right? So they stuck around because they knew I was about to share. And this is a big bonus tip for you guys too. If you're sharing tips, because we're so scatterbrained and stressed out and just like, oh my gosh, we're absorbing way more than our brains can possibly handle these days with notifications and emails and social media and the news, etc. If you just one tip at a time is totally fine. And I know all of you guys have shared 10 epic tips with me right now, or 10 epic permission slips. If you're, like whatever it is, like if your audience is really here to get motivated by you, whatever it is, jot those down. There's 10 real ideas for you. Okay. So again, your video hook is the text. Does that make sense? That's the video. This is the text in my video. I typed it out on my reel and I timed it out. Once that 2 seconds went by, it said use two hooks. And then I said, read the caption. So then their eyes go to my caption, and this is the hook of my caption. Steal these hooks to increase views. And underneath were like 10 hooks. Okay. So this one went very, very well for me, did very, very well. It's over a year old. I've repurposed this several times. So just remember, you can do that too. If you have a really, something that did really, really well in the past, your people have forgotten. Do it again. They don't care. We love repetition in marketing. Love it. I think we think like, oh, we can't repeat ourselves. Like, yes, you can. So this got them to watch the video to the end. This got them to read the caption. And as they read that caption, play, 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 play. All right. So I hope that helps. That's another big tip to create a reel that gets more views. And number 5, my favorite tip, just so that I make sure I leave us enough time for Q&A, is to have fun and think about your audience. If you haven't taken time, I know it, it can add up money-wise, but to hire someone in branding to help you, really get to understand who your target market is and do as much market research as you can. When you've done that, you have so many answers. And I'm telling you right now, if any of you have testimonials, dig through your testimonials. All the answers are there as to why people buy from you. Okay. You know your audience. If they're like, let's see, what else does everyone do? Sorry, I'm trying to remember. Let me grab someone else. Consignment, right? So consignment, probably a lot of busy moms that might have, they don't want to spend a lot of money on clothes. Read the testimonials you've gotten. Buying from consignment has allowed me to take a trip with my family because we're not shelling out, whatever, right? So now you can create a whole reel. Buying consignment allows you to XYZ, right? So think about your audience. What are they struggling with? What are they stressed out about right now? Or consignment. Yeah, like selling consignment. I was able to make enough money to book that Disney trip or buy a new couch, right? Use the stories of your clients. Think about your audience, because every single person you've worked with who's purchased from you can see themselves in your content. And when you have fun and just tell these stories and talk about why you love what you do and how you help people and entertain them and just get in their heads. Like, I know my people more than I probably know myself. Like, I know my audience. I know what they are waking up frustrated with. I know what is going to make them laugh. I know it's going to make them cry. I know it's going to make them feel. And that's truly how I know that I've grown the way I have, and how I've helped other people grow their brands too. And when you enjoy the content you create, we feel it. And I don't ever put something up that I don't get excited about. Like, if I'm creating a reel, I'm like, I toss it. I'm like, I'm not pumped about this. I'm like, they're going to feel it. They can feel it. So again, remember, when the next time you pick up Instagram, ask yourself why you just picked it up. passing the time, you want an escape. So remember, we want bite-sized information, and that's why Reels do so well, because we don't have time to process more than 8 seconds of information. And if we want more information, if there's more information in the caption, tell your people to save it. They can always go back to it later, right? Remember, they want to learn from you, but they also want to know what your values are. They want to feel inspired by you. They want to relate to you. We all want to feel validated when we pick up these phones. We want to make sure like, oh, yes, they get me. I feel heard, right? And I tell people all the time, I'm like, plumbers can do this. Like I always tell everybody, I joke, I'm like, my dream client is a plumber, because I want to prove to everyone that you can make plumbing exciting and fun. And you tell the stories of the client who was like calling in the middle of the night and like, we've been through situations in our home. So I have plenty of stories for plumbers. I go to a dermatologist here in Cary, and she literally has changed my life, right? Like, ask your people the stories. Why did you buy from me? Why did you want to work with me? What was it? Look at the testimonials you already have. All their stories are going to resonate with the audience you have right now. So tell their stories. You do not have to dance. You do not have to point at bubbles if you don't want to. You need to create what feels good to you. So again, like I said in the beginning, if Reels are just like, oh, not my thing, that's fine. There are plenty of Reels you can create where you don't even show your face. Now, if you're my client, am I forcing you to show your face? Yes, I don't care. We're showing your face. They got to see a face. Or if you have a huge team, show their faces, show the people that don't mind being on camera. But we want to connect with you. We want to bond with you. We want to know what it feels like when we go get our car repaired with you. We want to know what your voice sounds like. We want to know if there's coffee there, or we want to know where the bathrooms are. Give tours of your store. Share stories of your clients, share tips. Take people behind the scenes. So whenever you, the next time you go to create something, think of a story you can share, take people behind the scenes, and think of something that your person needs to hear today. And you've got 1, 2, 3 pieces of content. And you can just simply talk to camera, or you can do a fun lip sync reel. You can really do whatever you want. Just make sure that you are keeping them watching, and your reel is worth watching. I've had a bunch of people go like, why did this flop? I don't know. And one was yesterday from a blogger, and she was like, why did this flop? And I was like, I'll tell you exactly why it flopped. She took too long to get to the point. She was talking about Christmas pajamas. And she's like a Costco blogger. And she's like, Christmas jammies, don't you love Christmas jammies? And it's like yeah, sure. Love Christmas jammies. Bye. Like, next. It's so bad, but like, that's our brains right now. And finally she's like, here's 3 ways to save money on them. And I'm like, that would have been a great hook. That was your hook. You missed them. If you can't hook them in the first 3 seconds, you're going to struggle. So I will plot my hooks in here so that you guys don't struggle with hooks. Again, it shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be stressful. This should be the fun part of business. So hopefully these helped. And then let me go to the bonus tips real quickly, just so you can snap a picture of these. Again, this could be an all-day workshop, guys. This could be a month program. You're not going to like be, you could get 1 million views today. Who knows? It's all crazy. We never know. But the most important thing is create content you enjoy. Think about your target market. So before you start creating reels, do a brain dump, do a massive brain dump, and you'll be amazed what you come up with. Lean on, people that have bought from you. If you have a huge mega fan, be like, hey, like, what are 3 things that like you would love, or that you love about our store? What are three reasons you shopped with us? And boom, there's your content done. And yeah, these are just some bonus ones. What I mean by keeping text within 1 by 1, this is where things get complicated. But basically what I try to tell people, if you're new to Reels and you're not sure where to place the text, most important thing to do is, and actually, let me just go back so you can see it. This is your phone, right? Your iPhone is literally 9 by 16. That's the ratio. Okay. This 9 by 16. I forget what it is in pixels, but when you're scrolling Instagram, you'll notice there's stories there's stories at the top, there's this at the bottom. So by the time your reel goes into the news feed, if people aren't watching in the Reels tab, this is cut off here and this is cut off here, right? So if you've got words saying read the caption or buy my thing down here, one, by the time it's on Reels, it's going to be blocked by your username. It's going to be blocked by your caption. It's going to be blocked by the music, your filter. And if it's way up here, it's going to be blocked completely too. So in the main newsfeed. So what you want to do, what I always say is just pretend the top quarter and the bottom quarter of your phone, cut them off when you're editing and drag all your text in this section. Okay. This, and not to get too complicated, this is 4x5. So if you want to get technical with it, but the best thing to do if you're brand new and you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck was she talking about? Keep it in the center. You'll be fine. So when you're dragging text, try to keep it all right in the center of your phone and you'll be okay. Because again, when you go on your Instagram grid, it shrinks again to then a perfect little square. So again, think of your iPhone rectangle, newsfeed, smaller rectangle. Your Instagram grid, which I call your storefront, is a perfect square. So if you keep everything within 1x1 is a perfect square. Because again, if you go to your feed, it's a little squares, right? So if I had text way up here, you're not going to see it. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. There's talks that they are expanding the grid to actually be 4x5. So keep that in mind. That'll be great for not worrying about placement as much. But that's a big one, because when people go binge, let's say they land on your reel because they see you're in Apex and they love Apex and they see you're a brand new restaurant. They binge. They're going to want to see what the reel is about. So you want to make sure that title text is right there. Batching is great. If you guys have time to batch, like I said, trim out pauses. This is a lot to absorb, I know. But hopefully for people that have been doing Instagram a while, you were able to digest it well. If it's overwhelming, just grab a few of those tips and you'll see a huge improvement. All right, that was a lot. So what questions do we have?
Shannon, thank you. This is so helpful.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, this is great. One question I see here is, when it comes to hooks and captions, how important are keywords as opposed to hashtags?
Thank you for asking this. I should probably add this in. I just always never want to overwhelm. So important. Hashtags are still very important and they get a bad rep, but I haven't looked at my hashtag like insights in a year because I don't care. It's like you can't obsess over them. And I want to tell you this, and this would be in a separate training if we ever do another one down the line, of how to grow your audience. And what I tell people all the time is I say invest in hashtags, meaning if I am in downtown Apex, I'm going to constantly search not constantly, but regularly search hashtag Apex NC, hashtag Apex. I don't know what, I'm sure there's a ton of Apex ones, downtown Apex. And I'm going to regularly comment on posts with that hashtag. So hashtags, while people are like, oh, they're not working as well. Yes, they are. That's how I've connected with so many Raleigh businesses, right? So use hashtags like that to connect on. But in regards to your question, hashtags are very important because what they are technically doing for your reel is categorizing your content. So if again, you are a wine shop, hashtag North Carolina wine, like breweries, right? Drink local, hashtag North Carolina beer, hashtag Raleigh beer garden, right? Hashtag, et cetera, et cetera. So definitely use hashtags. They help categorize. In addition, like you said, keep your caption very keyword rich. Okay. Meaning, again, let's go back to the clothing boutique. Make sure if it's a reel about transitioning from summer to fall, that you're saying like, here are our top fall pieces. Use the word autumn. Or if it's like 10 ways to style leggings for the pumpkin patch. I don't know, like trying to think of things I would love to see. Make sure you use the word leggings. Make sure you use fall, fashion, style, and again, your target market, mom, teens, whatever it is. You want to use those rich keywords because Instagram is becoming more SEO friendly, which is amazing for all of us. Okay. So for instance, for me as an Instagram marketing strategist, I use lots of hashtags, Instagram tips and tricks, hashtag, IG growth, hashtag small business owners, things like that. So if I'm using those, I make sure in my caption, I'm saying, here's how to get more views on your Instagram reels. I wouldn't just say reels. I would say Instagram to make sure that Instagram is picking up, okay, her hashtags are matching up with her content, things like that. So yes, great question. So within that caption, make sure to use words so that they know that your hashtags, your reel, everything aligns with exactly what they're going to categorize your content as.
Another question for you. When you're doing the batching for using days to create, obviously you're probably saving them as a draft. Are you putting those in any kind of scheduler, or how are you, like, what do you do once you batch them?
So I'll be honest, I actually have a whole reel about this. I don't batch anymore because I found for me, it was like, I would feel unattached to the reel if I waited too long. What I do is I lean on my content ideas. And like today, like I know exactly what I'm doing because I was like, oh, I'll do this. I'm feeling that today. But I know for you guys, like you don't have time for that. You guys need to batch. So what I typically do, because if you sign out of Instagram, if you change your password, all your drafts will be gone. So always, I beg you, save your reel to your camera roll before you X out. And I can show you how to do that. Actually, do I have any drafts right now? I do. There. Oops, let me turn it down. So just to show you guys, I can stop sharing so you can see it. So what you'll do, so here's some of my drafts. So I'll tap on it and then you're going to tap edit. And there's a little arrow, a down arrow, and you're just going to tap that. And it doesn't have, this was a lip sync audio. It's not going to save the lip sync audio, but that's okay. You don't want it because you want it to sync with the trending audio. So I would save it. It will say save without audio. If it's your original audio, you're fine. So save it to your camera roll, and now it's saved to my camera roll. So I have it. If it was a trending audio, I would have saved the audio. I'll grab the audio, grab my video, it'll sync automatically. But yeah, every time I would save to your camera, save to your camera roll, so that when it does come time to post, if you've lost your drafts, that's okay. And as far as scheduling, you can use Creator Studio. It's completely free. It's by Facebook or Meta. You use it on your desktop. I believe there's an app, but I think it's trash, basically. I've heard horrible things. So use it on your desktop. If you have Facebook and Instagram, you already have it. Totally free. I'm team free. Problem though is you cannot currently do trending audios if you schedule. So it would be an original piece, right? Maybe your founder story, maybe I do a lot of reels where I just talk to camera and share a tip. So it's kind of, I know a lot of people are annoyed that you can't schedule the trending ones yet. We will soon. Instagram is currently working on a scheduling app within the app. I think everyone's going to rejoice when that happens. But for now, you can absolutely schedule through Creator Studio. Loomly, Later, Buffer, they all let you schedule, but those are not free. I know as business owners, we're always trying to find the cheapest stuff. So yeah.
Are you repurposing any of these reels onto TikTok?
Yes. And again, what I do, and this is just a preference thing, I will take the video. So before I share it as a reel, I've saved it to my camera roll. And then when I go to TikTok, again, I'll find the audio on TikTok and I will add the text separately. I personally like how do I say it? Platform friendly style texts. So I don't want my Instagram texts on TikTok, if that makes sense. And I don't know if this is why, again, everything's a test and I'm a nerd. I love to test this stuff out. Every time I've taken an Instagram reel that has like my Instagram fonts and put it on Instagram or TikTok, it's done horribly. It doesn't even have the Instagram watermark, but TikTok, and I think it's because users on TikTok, we have plugged out of one place and we've gone another. Like we want to look at that. So, I can show you one, but I don't, it's pretty far down. I typically keep my TikTok stuff a little different, but like this one I had on Instagram with the Instagram fonts, and then I just flipped it over to TikTok and just wrote it out again. But again, if you don't have time and you're like, that sounds like a waste, just totally repurpose. Yes. Oh, thank you, Sophia. Yes. So you already have it. You just will have to link your Instagram account, and you'll be good to go. The biggest thing to know about Creator Studio though, is if you're going to schedule, your Instagram has to be a business account or professional account, and your Facebook has to be a Facebook business page. And those have to be linked in order to schedule to both at the same time. But that's how I schedule all my client stuff. And it's a lifesaver.
Have you had any solutions for scheduling music on Facebook when you're taking an Instagram reel to Facebook and the music doesn't convert?
I don't do any on Facebook, so I don't know. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't even posted a reel on Facebook before. Facebook and I don't get along. I'm always having issues with it. So I can't even get into my Facebook business page right now. And I'm like, I haven't figured it out. They did something weird when they switched and I can't seem to get permission back. So I might have to start a whole new, so hopefully I'll have an answer soon, but yeah, sorry. On Instagram, some people have said creator account gets better algorithm. I don't think so. I think that's a lot. I've heard that a lot, that business accounts get less engagement. And even if that's true, the tools are so much better than creator, because what's cool about a business account is you can have your address in your profile. I love that because I like to have, you can put your address. I don't think you can do that with creator. So like, again, in my bio, it says Cary, North Carolina. You can't do that with creator. So that saves a lot of real estate in your bio. And then you can even have buttons here that say like book. So if you book calls, you can have that. So I think the benefits outweigh. And if you ever lose your song choices and your music library because of you switch to business, all you have to do, it's the easiest thing ever. You just go to edit profile. I'll do it right now, just to make sure I'm doing it right. Edit profile, and you're going to go down to category. Now, if you see my category, it says personal blog. Now, I'm obviously not a personal blog, but I noticed years ago when everyone started losing their music, that bloggers still had their music. And I was like, all it comes down to is licensing. So they don't want like a soda company being able to use Drake, right? Like they have to pay for that. So, or like it's against their rules. So I changed it to personal blog, and I've never lost my music since. You can also change it to entrepreneur. I know a lot of people with that category. So even if you are a shop owner, just you lose it, change your category. And then what you do is right under it, it says profile display right there, and you can hide it. So that way it doesn't say wine shop personal blog. It's like gone. And then you get all your music back. So there's always a hack to solve everything. Yeah. So, I mean, and again, it's a test. Like if you all of a sudden are like, ever since I changed the business, it's been horrible, but sometimes it just matches up with spring break and no one's on Instagram. Like I've seen crazy dips one week and all of a sudden everything comes back. It's usually vacation, national tragedies. Like you can usually pinpoint it to something other than the algorithm or Instagram. It's usually something different. If it is an algorithm change, it usually a day or two, everything goes back to normal. So yeah.
So I feel like it's easier to be more creative, at least for me personally, for like clothing, food, those sorts of reels. What are like some advice you have for coming up for reels for like banks? I mean, we talked about real estate with the before and after, but as you know, us helping promote other brands that we're not necessarily on site all the time, do you have any recommendations?
Yeah. So again, think of like, what do people hate about banks? Or like what what gets them stressed out? Like one of my favorite things is like talking about a post office, right? We all like dread the post office. So think of that and think of reels you create around that, because again, we are able to create an experience. So maybe this bank is like, you will actually know the name of the teller. Like, what is it about things that people don't like about banks? And what does this bank do differently to solve that? Now, if there isn't something, that's a problem. So I would, again, this takes market research, like looking up like, I'm trying to think what to Google, but another place I like to look for inspo, especially if it's an industry I'm not very familiar with, I'll look at podcasts, Pinterest things on that industry just to see like what I can find. So again, if, so let's say we know that people, when they're at banks, they don't know the people, maybe, right? Like that's one reason I've I wouldn't know the name of someone at my bank at all. So maybe that's something that they have leverage on. They can create a reel around that, like what sets us apart. So I think whenever it's an industry that you're like, again, the plumber, right? Like what's their value proposition? What makes them different than, Chase or whatever it is down the street? Or that maybe it is a big global bank, but it has a personal touch. So does that help at all? Like thinking of like, and then again, just once you have these ideas, okay, what are 5 things that set us apart as a bank? Or maybe they have faster turnaround time for checks being clear. I don't know, things like that. And write down all those things that people struggle with, that they hate, that they get mad about, and then how that bank solves it. And then the next time you hear an audio, you're like, oh my gosh, that'll be perfect. It's like, it's so funny once you already have the ideas, then you're like, oh dude, that audio is perfect for it. Or again, talking to camera. We realized we had to make a change because da 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 da, right? And then they can tell the story themselves. That's where I usually like to get the content from. I'm like, why do people step into this bank versus that bank? And like, let the customer tell you, and you can create so many. They might even give you 3 answers. Then it's like, boom, 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 3 reels.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome. And again, testimonials. Look at the testimonials. There's so many answers in testimonials. Yeah. And this is, go to competitors' testimonials. Like, right? If the bank is like, I don't know, go look at the big wigs that are killing it and look at what people say in the testimonials, and you'll be like, oh, that's why people go to this bank. And it's so crazy because every time I do this research for a client, I'm like, they don't even realize that was a pain point. Right. So, yeah, don't be afraid to, like, if you're a client or someone, or you are brand new and you're like, I don't know what my value proposition is. I'm like, go look at the ones killing it. Go see what people are raving about. And then you're like, okay. It's
Shannon,
fascinating.
what are your thoughts on collaboration posts? Like invite a collaborator.
I love it. It's genius.
People? Okay.
It's genius because you get in front of 2 audiences. I've done a few, and it's been really, really successful. Just make sure it aligns with your brand, right? So again, the wine store, or if you're a wine, maybe a cheese place or pizza. I mean, or again, like, especially you guys, if I'll keep saying Apex, that's Apex is why we fell in love with this area. Like if it was Salem Street Pub, maybe they're like, oh, and make sure before you go there, go grab a coffee at Commonwealth. How to spend a whole day in Apex. And maybe even just if you don't want to collab with someone because it's more work, you could just be like, here's 5 other places to check out today, and then end with us at Salem Street. We'll have a cold beer waiting for you. And again, it's like, it paints their day. They're like, ooh, that sounds like the perfect day. And then they come spend all their money.